I've got up, looked at him, realised he was going into a fucking seizure. I screamed something at his friend, jumped in my truck and vanished. Now it gives me such a fucking kick up the arse. It's like, yeah, like I'm not going out there for a fight at that point. It's like I'm up for murder now. Like I've got my boys with me, I am fucking game. This is a fucking war and I'll do whatever it takes. I know these boys would die for me. I know I would die for these boys.
What's the closest you've been to killing someone, honestly?
So I had an issue with somebody. I recently changed vehicles and they didn't recognise the new vehicle I was in. Prior to this, there'd been a lot of back and forth and they knew I was having issues with them. I'd fucking knocked them about a few times. Without going into the details of why I didn't like this person, they didn't like me. So in my new vehicle, I was driving in our area. I saw this person pull out in front of me on the ring road. So I started following them. I was aware that they didn't know it was me following them, because obviously I'm not going to say what vehicle it is, but I was in the vehicle I've got now. They took a turn in onto a car park that I knew was a dead end. So I followed them onto the car park. Now, they sat in their car for a little bit. I parked a few spaces away. Saw they were about to get out. There's this guy and his mate. And I pretended that I had an issue with my truck. So I sort of got out, put my hood up, got underneath the front end of my truck, and I was rattling with the front bumper, I think, like trying to just look like I wasn't there for them. And I'm looking at it and I've got one arm under it, like I've got a loose pipe or something. And as they came past me, I cocked and I thought, right, okay, here's my moment. So I got up, walked up behind him, shouted his name, he's turned around and I've just hit him. Bit of a Judas move. It was a bit of a strange time in my life where I didn't really give a fuck. I'm not there now. But basically he went down and he hit his head on the concrete. I fell on top of him to give him another one. His mate screaming, stop, stop, Ashton, stop. And as I've got on top of him, I've seen that his eyes are rolling in his head, his jaw's sticking forward, he's clenching his teeth, and he was stiff as a board. He was like a prawn. His arms and legs were out in front of him. I've got up, looked at him, realised he was going into a fucking seizure. I screamed something at his friend, jumped in my truck and vanished. Now, as I was driving off, I was looking at the guy thinking, I have killed this geezer. He was on the floor, arms outstretched, and he didn't look in a good way at all. So I made off, got in contact with some friends I had at the time, and that began a long 24-hour period of me basically going into hiding. I was confused. We'll probably get into it later, but at the time my life was a bit of a mess. And yeah, I didn't really know. I did know right from wrong. I just didn't really fucking care. But I basically had to then send friends down throughout the night, getting updates. Yeah, there's an ambulance there. Fuck's sake. Yeah, the police are there. Da, 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 da. A few hours later, I got the all clear to say, yeah, there's no tents there. They've not closed the area off. He's all right. Found out later on he'd fractured his skull. But he was a cunt and he did deserve it. Should have just probably handled the situation a bit better. But fair play to him and never phoned the police. So, yeah.
Wow.
That was about the closest I'd say I've come to killing somebody.
Wow, it says a lot that he didn't phone the police.
Yeah.
So what's that feeling like, thinking, I might have killed someone here and I might end up going to prison? What went through your head? Did you have kids at the time or a wife?
Yeah, so I've got a daughter. I've got a girlfriend. And at the time, this was a thing that was the culmination of a long, chaotic period in my life. Of probably like 12 months where I was just wild. I'd had a big relationship breakdown. I'd recently lost a friend to suicide. Prior to that, I'd had another big relationship breakdown. And I'd kind of lost my head during that time. Now, I was getting involved in a lot of bad things during that period. And when that happened and he hit the floor and I saw his reaction, that for me was the moment of, you're not ready for this fucking path you're going down. Like, I didn't want to go to prison. I didn't want to leave my daughter in a position where her dad wasn't around anymore.
Of course.
I didn't want to cause my family any heartache. and it all hit me in that moment when I just realised I'd probably already fucked things up.
Wow.
So when I went missing for that 24 hours, yeah, my mind was doing a lot. Like, I was like full of regret for what I'd just done, for everything I'd been doing over the last couple of months. You know, like, in my moment of not give a fuckness, I thought I'd just jeopardised my entire future. And it was a horrible feeling. It was a bitter pill to swallow. And for days, because I knew he'd gone to hospital, I still wasn't sure if he was, you know, how bad this was going to be. I was waiting for the door to knock. I was waiting for the police to come and get me, but it never happened, fortunately. So thank you for that.
And have you got into more street fights after that incident?
You know what? No. Before that, there was a lot of madness. That was probably the last time where I'd really gone like too far with somebody. There's been a bit of pushing and shoving, you know, since, and you know, a few people have been read the riot act, but no, that was the last thing that I've done that was in what I'd consider serious.
And who was this guy to you? Was he an old friend, work colleague?
He was somebody who'd inconvenienced me in a big way. Yeah, without going into details.
Right. Now, what's the hardest hit you've ever taken, and what broke first? Maybe a body part, or was it your confidence?
Oh, okay. So physically, it would be in my first ever fight. Now, this is funny because obviously I've had a lot of fights since. You know, I've fought bare-knuckle, I've fought gloved, I've fought varying levels of competition. But the guy who has hit me the hardest is a guy named Josh Hone. I believe he's from Surrey way. He's not the biggest dude. He, in fact, should probably be fighting at middleweight or maybe light heavyweight. It just so happened that when we met, he was a bit out of shape and he'd sort of crept up to heavyweight. But it still baffles me to this day because I've been hit by world champions, you know, in bare-knuckle fights and in sparring. I've been hit by pro boxers. I've been hit by people on the street. I've been hit, fucking hell, more times than a naughty dog. But Josh Owen hit me with a little right hand in my first fight, and it snapped my head back with the force of a fucking Mach 1 fighter jet taking off. So much so that, like, it was in the last 10 seconds of the fight. He hit me with a little jab, just lifted my chin up with the jab, and then just followed through with this big right straight. I've actually got the video. The camera guy was behind me at the time with one of these phantom cams. So I've got it in like 40,000 frames per second, 4K slow-mo. And you can literally see, it's like The Exorcist. My head goes full fucking 180 and then snaps back in front of me. Now he fought, obviously you hit somebody like that, you feel it yourself. You could see in his expression, he thought he won the fight at that moment because he's hit me and he's dropped his guard and sort of smiled. And then I just smiled back and he's gone, oh, for fuck's sake. And then we've just levered back into each other. But for that last 10 seconds of the fight, I can honestly say I was on death's door. Yeah, I was just clinging on for dear life. But no damage, no breaks, no bumps, just mild concussion.
And have you ever stayed in a fight just to prove something?
Yes. Yeah, massively so. So my last fight against Ant Scotford on BKB in Cardiff. So that fight was touted as fight of the year. Me and Ant both got robbed of the award, in my opinion. But whatever, the ones that got the fight of the year award, they did deserve it. During that fight, I was knocked down 5 times. Anybody who knows BKB will be aware of the fight. It was massive. Now, before that fight, my coach gave me a mega prep talk. And he basically said, he pulled me to one side, and this was just as I was about to do my ring walk. He said, right, he goes, listen, he goes, I need you to hear what I'm saying to you now. He said, when your first marriage fell apart, he goes, yeah, you had a wobble. He said, but did you let life keep you down? I was like, no. He said, right, okay. When your best friend took his own life, he said, yeah, you went through some bad times, but did you let life stop you? I said, no. He said, okay, when your second marriage ended and you went into the black, he said, was that enough to keep you on your knees? I said, no. He said, right, okay. He said, so are you going to fucking go out there and let this man be the reason that you stop pushing forward? I said, fucking no, I'm not. He said, well, go out there. He said, no matter what he hits you with, he said, if you have to take a knee, you take a knee, you recalibrate, you re-engage, you get yourself back on your feet, and you get back into the fucking fight. And it genuinely fucking lit a fire in me.
Yeah.
And it was like a mantra. When I went out there, and it got heavy, and it did get really fucking heavy in that fight. There was times where a normal person would quit. They'd say, oh, I've had too much, I've took enough. But I think because I've consistently took fucking, not punishment, but I've been dealt a few shit hands throughout the years, and I've consistently picked myself up and pushed forward. For me, in that moment, it was like nobody could have stopped me that night. You know, he could have fucking shot me between the fucking eyeballs, and I'd probably still managed to find a way to get back to my feet and continue on. Even if in reality, I was probably just doing myself more damage at that point. That wasn't what was important. What was important for me was being able to hold my fucking grit and say, I'm a man that can, I'm a man that will.
That's some great motivation as well, you know. And I think it's quite important for a coach and a trainer as well to have someone like that in your corner, and, you know, to talk during those tough times, to be there to tell you, right, you need to get your shit together.
You know what, having somebody like that in your corner is invaluable.
Yeah.
I think there's a misconception that you have somebody do your corner in a fight just to give you advice, you know. And obviously that's a part of it. They need to be seeing things that you're not seeing, you know, what your opponent's doing, what traps he's trying to set for you and whatever else. But for me, my relationship with my coach is different. So when things got bad in my life, he was a constant. I've said it before and I'll say it again, Steve Holloway, he saved my life. You know, he's one of the main reasons why I'm still here. And with that comes a massive deal of respect. And again, with that, I'm inclined not to want to let him down. So for him to be in my corner and him to be willing me to push on, like, that is invaluable. And, you know, I can get anybody to corner me in a fight. I can get a high-level pro boxer to come over and pick my technique apart and see what I'm doing wrong. But he knows my mentality. He knows where my brain goes. And over the years, he's found ways to steer it back to where it needs to be. And that for me is, I can't get that anywhere else. I wouldn't want to get that anywhere else.
Yeah. And what is the worst pain? Is the worst pain during the fight when you actually have the match, or is it more the silence after?
Contrary to popular belief, there's very little pain during a bare knuckle fight. There's flashes of it. So there was a point in the last fight, one of the knockdowns was because Ant threw a right hook to my ear. And that was like a lightning bolt of pain. And I hit the floor, not through disorientation, through being overwhelmed by pain. But I recalibrated, remembered what my coach had said. I got myself back to my feet and I got back in the fight. And then that pain didn't exist then for the rest of the fight. There's moments where, sort of during the clinch, I had him by the neck and I was throwing fucking tons and tons of uppercuts. I could start to feel pains in my hand. At the time, I didn't realise it was the small bones in my hand breaking. Wasn't an overwhelming pain. It was just something your brain's aware of. It's like, you might want to try something else here. The big pain in a bare knuckle fight generally is the morning after, when all the adrenaline's worn off, when the emotions have worn off, and if you've got carried away on the beer the night before, which tends to happen if you have a fight, once the hangover's worn off. It's when you go to do very small things that you wouldn't even think twice about in daily life, like picking up a kettle full of water. You pick up a kettle with a half broken hand, that is agony. Wiping your arse. Wiping your arse is such a delicate process when you've got two broken hands. You know, bare knuckle boxing's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot about myself. It's taught me a lot about technique and skill and the industry. But probably the biggest thing it's taught me is how to wipe my arse with my left hand. So, yeah,
Great.
It could be a lot of pain the following day, mate. Yeah.
Great skill to have.
Very
now,
useful.
What injury still affects you till today that people don't see?
Everyone has their niggles, you know, like through training camp. You're redlining your body constantly. So my hips ache, my ankles ache, my wrists ache, my hands ache, my shoulders ache. Just part and parcel of the game. Haven't really had a big injury that's give me any sort of long-term inhibitions. You know, there are some lads I know that have torn biceps, that have Podmore, one of my sparring partners, former world champion, soon to be world champion, hopefully. Like, he had a big bike crash years ago, and I think he broke his neck, broke his collarbone, you know, broke his fucking back, broke all sorts, and his mobility is limited. Just so happens he still managed to become world champion, even with those sorts of things. But he's just a different fucking animal. Man. Very, very tough man.
And what is a fight that changed you as a person, not your record, but you?
I think the fight that probably did the most for my mental state was the Mark Godbeer fight. So I had a call. Now this was only my second ever bare-knuckle fight, to fight a guy called Mark Godbeer. Mark Godbeer is an ex-UFC fighter. He fought on Bellator. He was the BKB heavyweight champion at one point. I think he was a Gromda champion, clan fighting. No, sorry. Some Russian promotion, bare-knuckle promotion, called Vala. He was their champion. The guy's been champion of more promotions than I've had fights. He has been around the fucking world. He's consistently been fighting the toughest men on the planet for the last 10, 15 years. So I had a call to fight him. I think it was on 4 weeks' notice. And on paper, I was massively overmatched. So I lost my first bare-knuckle fight. Godbeer, I think, was 7-1 at this point. So to me, I mean, I can be completely honest at this point, I was going down there with absolutely no intentions of winning. I wasn't going down there to roll over, but I thought, it's Godbeer, I'm not going to win. I've not got the experience, I've not got the time in the game. I'm not as athletic as he is. You know, there's so many reasons why I'm not going to fucking win this fight. I got there on the day, and I'd already kind of had it in my head that I'm just going to get beat up a bit here. I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to take it fucking lying down. You know, I'm not intentionally trying to lose this fight, but I can't see any possible way that I can even hang in there with him, let alone win. So before the fight, with that in mind, I was completely calm. There was no pressure. It's fucking Mark Godbeer. If you win, well, you beat Mark Godbeer, fair play. If you lose, of course you lost. It's fucking Mark Godbeer. So as I warmed up for the fight, really calm, relaxed. Came down when music came on, did my ring walk, got into the ring, and I was just completely unbothered. I was focused. I was happy to be in the fight, but to me it was just like, I don't really care if I win or lose this. You know, I'm just going to give him a good fight and we'll see what happens. But fully expected to be ironed out. I didn't have full confidence in myself at that point. And then the fight started, and he came like he does, like a fucking bull out the gate. Big, strong boy, Mark. He's a country boy from down Somerset, and he's probably like past his prime now to a degree, even though he's been unbeaten for fucking years. But I think he's got to be like 42. You'd look at him and you'd think, yeah, he's probably not going to be hyper aggressive, hyper explosive. You'd be fucking wrong. He came out of that fucking corner like a rhino, just straight for me. And I stepped off, I think through a check left hook, hit him, bang. And I stepped off again, had a look at him, and I noticed I damaged his eye. And I thought, oh, I've done something here. I've made a dent. So, okay, he came forward, I threw a jab, landed, stepped off. It's like, fucking hell, I'm hitting him and not getting hit here. And towards the end of that round, he landed a big fucking shot on my head. Right in my hairline, he opened up a big, jagged, Y-shaped cut, which absolutely pissed out blood. It was like a volcano all over me in seconds. Now with that was the end of the round, and it kind of gave me a chance to recalibrate, because I could feel myself starting to get a bit overwhelmed by the damage. Because like, I don't care what anybody says, the first time that you get cut wide open and you see your blood spill all over you, it's in your eyes, it's in your mouth, you can taste it, you can feel it in your fucking nose, you're breathing bubbles of blood, it's a lot to deal with, your first time. So yeah, it took me a while to recalibrate myself, but during that rest round, I had a good look at Mark, and at this point, I'd cut him, I broke his nose, I damaged his eye severely. I looked at him and thought, I'm in this fucking fight here. Like, I am actually in this fight. This isn't just me coming down here to lose. There's a good fucking chance here. If I continue to work the way I'm working, that I could well snatch this. Came out for the second, and we had the most violent 30 seconds of any fight I've ever fucking seen. He just charged at me, landed a few shots, I tucked up. I popped back up through a fucking barrage of punches. He threw some back, I threw some back. There was more blood, more fucking damage. Eventually, I got knocked down. The ref wouldn't allow me to continue, even though I got back to my feet. Which, whatever, fair decision. And Mark won the fight. But after that fight, I watched the video back. The praise I got from it, the people there, the praise I got from the wider bare-knuckle community, it made a big impact on me. You know, I had people in my inbox who I've been growing up watching on the TV, messaging me, telling me how much of a fucking tough guy I am and how I should be proud of myself. And I thought, hold on a minute, I belong here. Like, I know I was doubting myself before the fight, but all of a sudden it was like a light switch. Like, I'm a fucking bare-knuckle boxer. Like, I'm a bare-knuckle boxer who's just been down there and hung in there with a fucking world champion and sent him off to surgery. You know, I just put some fucking glue in my cut and carried on with my day. Yeah. Like, that for me was a big moment. And from there, I got so much traction, the videos went viral and everything else. And all of a sudden, it was like I'd gone from being somebody who'd had a bare-knuckle fight to, you're a bare-knuckle boxer. A bare-knuckle boxer who's respected by people that you've grown up respecting. Which was a big moment for me. It changed a lot. So yeah, I think that one had the most impact out of any fight I've had before or after, and I lost.
Most people don't know you're actually quite a late starter in the bare-knuckle boxing. I mean, you're 38 now, you started when you were 34. Mm-hmm. And what actually made you decide you're going to have a go at bare-knuckle boxing?
So my introduction to glove boxing came about following a relationship breakdown. And the death of my best friend, and another relationship breakdown, and a million other fucking unrelated bits of trauma. I'd basically found myself in a bad place mentally, very bad place. During that time, I was getting involved in things I probably shouldn't have been involved in. Bits of criminality, bits of, I'd say debt collecting for lack of a better word, but it wasn't necessarily collecting debts. But I was doing this stuff, and I was doing it stupidly. You know, you make your coin, however you need to earn your money, however you need to get your frills. But I was doing this in like a work van that was fully signed, written up with my company all over it. I was doing it with my mobile phone in my pocket. I didn't give a fuck, and it was just like a ticking clock, just waiting till it strikes 12 and I either get nicked or shot or stabbed or fucking dragged off into the bushes myself. So the fighting came around because I needed distraction. I'd done a bit of MMA previously when I was much younger, when I was like 21, and then stopped because I got into relationships and kids came along and dogs and mortgages and all that other good stuff. And it's just something I sort of left to the wayside. But with all of the madness that I had going on in my life, I found my way into a boxing gym, and it started to help my mental state. At the time, I was so fucked up that like every day would be spent in crisis. There'd be days where I wouldn't sleep, where I'd just be fucking sobbing through the night about the shit state of my life, and it was just a sheer depression. But I'd counteract it by trying not to feel like a victim, by going out and doing things that would make me feel like a predator rather than prey. You know, fucking kicking people's doors off and taking things that didn't necessarily belong to them. But yeah, so boxing for me was always about distraction. Now the problem I had was that my first fight, gloved, was a buzz. I fucking loved every second of it. It was sheer distraction. I had this fucking geezer in front of me who was trying to kill me, and I got to try and kill him. And for that 6 minutes of the fight, it was only a short fight, nothing else existed. There was no relationship trauma, there was no grief, there was no fucking housing problems, there was no parenting issues, there was nothing. All that existed for the duration of that fight was the geezer in front of me. Now, if you're going through a bad time, if you're depressed, if you've got a lot of shit going on, that is the purest form of distraction you can have. Somebody in front of you who won't give you a second to think about how shit your life is. Now, the first fight fixed me in a way. It made me realise this is what I need. Not only am I distracted when I'm in the fight, I'm distracted for the 8 weeks leading up to the fight. And with that routine and that structure, other things in my life started to improve. My health started to improve. My sleep started to improve. My relationships with my girlfriend and the people around me started to improve because I wasn't so... I wasn't turned up to 10 all the time because the training was taking it out of me. Having my focus on something was just keeping me down to a civilised level. The problem came in after I'd had 3 or 4 fights gloved, and that feeling started to wane, and it got to the point where a gloved boxing match began to feel like paid sparring. I think as well the fact that I wasn't quite mentally 100% at this point, it was like I almost needed that utter distraction, something that was so high stakes that your brain couldn't wander. It couldn't wander back into the darkness. And that's when I started to flirt with the idea of having a bare-knuckle fight. I was sparring with a few lads who was doing the bare-knuckle. I started training at a gym up in Stoke with Stefan Hanks, who ran a bare-knuckle promotion. I was going up there for my sparring. And he basically had a look at me, saw how I held myself, how I boxed, how I sparred. And he said to me, he said, look, there's absolutely no reason on God's green earth why you can't give this a try. He said, you know, this, if you're into this, for why I think you're into this, you think glove boxing is a distraction, wait till somebody's chipping lumps out your skull with bare knuckles. He said, that's fucking distraction. So I thought, you know what, fuck it, let's give it a go. So yeah, the answer to your question would be, I decided to get into the bare knuckle because glove boxing wasn't enough of a distraction. It started to incrementally taper off, but what I found with the bare knuckle, I'm 3 fights deep, that feeling you have before, during and after a bare knuckle fight, that's never going to wear off. It's the same every single fucking time. It's every single emotion all at once. It's an adrenal overload. And the biggest thing for me about it, the bit that I like take the most away from, is your inner bitch is screaming at you to get away from that fight, run out, don't do your ring walk, don't get in that ring, get out of this fucking dangerous environment, but you conquer it. And the feeling you get by conquering that inner bitch, that is, if you could bottle that feeling, it's yeah, you'd be a very rich man.
And would you say it's almost like an addiction you have to the adrenaline, and I can imagine that adrenaline dump that you have, like we said earlier, because when you come out, you have a fight, you don't feel the pain in the moment, and then afterwards, when the crowd's gone, the light is off, there's silence, and you sit with your cut and your broken hands.
Every time, unfortunately.
That's when the pain comes back.
Yeah.
And have you ever had a fight knowing you're losing, but you kept pushing through with everything you got?
To be fair, every fight I have, I don't concentrate on the outcome. Obviously, the intention is always to win. Otherwise, you wouldn't be training for 8, 10, 12 weeks leading up to it. But for me, it's not about winning or losing. I'm in there for the feeling that I get during the fight. I'm in there for the routine it brings to my life. I'm in there for that feeling of satisfaction, knowing I did something that only 0.01% of the combat sports world have got the bollocks to do. And there's so many other benefits that come from it as well, like the relationships you build up with people in the community. The fact that now the people I send random memes to all day are people I grew up watching fighting on the TV. You know, after my last fight, I had fucking hell, like every hard man in the country and some of them outside the country in my inbox saying, fuck me, you're a warrior, bro. Like, you're a tough man. It's like, that's what I do it for. Whether I win or lose, regardless, I almost want, I don't want it to sound like I need other people's confirmation, but it's almost like confirmation for myself. It's like, I'm enough, like regardless of whatever shit's going on in my life, I am enough. The man I stand when I stand in front of the mirror today and I look back at the man, I like what I see. My body fat could be a little bit better, I'll give myself that. and I've lost a bit of size. But physically, mentally, I like who I am.
Yeah.
You know, I'm respected. And again, I don't mean that to sound like in a fucking cliche, like I demand respect. I do demand respect because I give people respect. But I'm proud of myself for the first time in 38 years of being on this planet. I am fucking proud of myself.
And have you ever scared yourself with how far you went?
In what regard?
Maybe in a fight, pushing yourself, thinking, you know, feel like you're going to have a heart attack or something, or even training.
Well, I'm a firm believer in fatigue makes cowards of us all. I've been in a ring before now where, you know, we got into the 5th round in a glove fight. This was for the Staffordshire heavyweight title, I think it was. We got into that 5th round, and this kid was a tough bastard. He wasn't in the best shape, so his output wasn't as good as it could have been. But he'd been around, very experienced kid, knew how to box, but he's just soaked up so much fucking punishment. But the byproduct of that was I was the man doing the punishing, and you know, if losing a fight's exhausting, winning a fight's fucking exhausting too. When somebody will just take everything you throw at them. I must have thrown 500, 600 punches at this guy throughout the fight, and in that 5th round I was fucking exhausted, and I didn't want to be in there. I stayed in there because that's what you do. I'd rather, you know, fucking died on my knees than quit at the end of that 4th round. The points where I've gone too far, to the point of like heart attack territory, that's always in training. And I do train really fucking hard to make sure I don't have to feel that in the ring. Because if you've done that, if you've turned up on, you know, if you've got no preparation and you turn up and have to hang in there with somebody like me for 5 3-minute rounds with no gloves on, if you think it sucks in the 1st round, wait until the 5th round when you are completely fucking exhausted and I'm still fresh and raring to go. So yeah, I don't ever want to be that guy. You know, the toughest man in the fucking world will be a coward when fatigue sets in.
And walk me through a moment where everything slowed down.
So I fought a guy named Stephen Rook. I'd had multiple opponent changes leading up to this fight. I was meant to fight Adrian Armour, he injured his hand. I was meant to fight Brian Morrow, he injured his hand. And the promoter threw some very easy options at me. Very short notice fighters, like, look, this guy ain't fit, he's happy to jump in, do you want him? And I was just like, mate, this is my first bare-knuckle fight. I'm not doing this for an easy fight. You know, I wouldn't fucking be here if I wanted an easy fight. I want a tough test, so get me somebody good. I was asking for people who I really shouldn't have been asking for, to be honest. Now I know. I was asking for the Huntsman, big New Zealand, big Maori guy, who's a good pal. But yeah, he's a fucking monster. I'd have got smashed up more than I did. Anyway, so I fought a guy named Stephen Rook, and when we got in there, I think 'cause I was so confident, I thought I'll smash anybody in front of me. I wasn't humbled at this point, you know. I'd been undefeated in glove boxing for 1 fight, and that was over like 13 fights. Wow. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to come in here, I'll pretty much batter anybody they put in front of me. And then when Stephen got started, he's a very tricky motherfucker. He's a pro boxer. He has done some pro fights, but he'd had like, I think he'd had 2 bare-knuckle fights before me, or maybe 1. But he's just an awkward guy. He's awkward shaped. He's sort of got a big torso, but long skinny arms, long skinny legs, big fucking rock hard bald head. But he's got this real sort of janky style of boxing. It's got completely unorthodox. But he also does the orthodox thing and he can switch between the two. But he just caught me off guard. And when I was in there with him, it was a 2-minute fight. It was 2 minutes. It took him to literally punch my ear off. Yeah. But I remember feeling like I was in there for fucking days. I think it was just down to he's like confidence. He wasn't intimidated by me in the slightest. I was a bigger, more intimidating guy when you look at the face-off. I was charged up because it was my first bare-knuckle fight, and I was like a pit bull just gnawing at the fucking cage trying to get him. And that was just me being naive. I didn't understand the game then. You know, I treated it like a professional pub fight, not like a boxing match with no gloves on, which is what I should have treated it like, and gone in calm and collected. But yeah, that fight was specifically the moment where he hit me in the ear, and he almost knocked me through the ropes. And when I hit the ground, I posted up, put my hand out in front of me, and I could just see this river of blood gushing from my neck, head area, down onto my hand, just coating my hand, coating the mat. And it felt like I was on the floor for, 30 minutes. I got back to my feet, and it was still before the count of 8. I was trying to continue, but the ref had obviously seen fucking rivers of blood running out of the inside of my head, and decided that was a day for me. It was a sucky moment. I don't really get frustrated in the wins and losses, but it was just the fact that it was over so quick. So much preparation had gone into it. This was meant to be my big bare-knuckle debut, and I just got fucking schooled. That was a bit of pill to swallow.
But sometimes it's necessary to have defeats like that. Like you say, you weren't humble at the time, and maybe it kind of just maybe bring you, a little bit back, and then so you can reassess everything and go back to the drawing board and come back better with a clear mind,
This is what boxing does. It teaches you humbleness, teaches you humility.
I mean, what is the big difference then between the bare-knuckle boxing and boxing with gloves?
Well, I think this is part of the reason I lost that fight, because in gloved boxing, although it feels like you're in a chaotic environment, you don't realise how safe you can make yourself. If you've got a tight guard, you can be pretty fucking safe. If you've got good head movement, if you've got good ring control, good like a high level boxing IQ, if you want to grab hold of your opponent and hang on a couple of seconds longer than the ref wants you to, you can kill the clock a little bit, you make it a little bit safer still. Don't get me wrong, there's people out there who can, punch through any guard and, shut that ring craft down, but you've got an opportunity there to make the environment safe for yourself. Bare-knuckle's different, specifically the promotion I fight for, BKB. So let's talk about the environment itself. So it's a triangular ring, the Trigon. Now, they've got 2 sizes. I believe the big one's 17 foot on each side, which is a decent size space, and you don't feel like you're in a triangle for the most part until you're backed into a corner. But the small one is 14 feet on each side. Now that is a tiny space to have a boxing match in effectively. So the environment by design is out to get you. That environment encourages chaotic violence. You can't step off, you can't move around your opponent. You've just got to go through him. You've got to go forward. The difference in your defence, well, in bare-knuckle, effectively, there is no defence. There's more of an emphasis on slips, parries, head movement, getting out the way of shots, rather than tucking up with your guard, protecting yourself, because people can just punch through it. There's just too many gaps. And even if they can't punch through it, if your hands are splayed on your forehead to try and protect yourself, they'll just hit your hands and break your fingers. So yeah, the big difference is in the defence. A lot of people talk about offence in bare-knuckle, shot selection specifically, which is a big thing. But I've heard people say that they'll try and punch with less power in bare-knuckle to try and protect their hands. Now, I'll be completely honest, I go full fucking bore. Like, I'm trying to punch a hole in your fucking soul.
Each time.
Yeah, my jab, I'm stepping on my jab with 4 years of fucking trauma behind it. I'm not trying to play pity-patty, I'm trying to fucking stop you with the first shot that hits you. I can fight with broken hands, but I don't think people can fight with a fractured skull. And that's my thinking on it. There may be some truth to it. I haven't been around the game long enough to really dial it into that point. But yeah, some people will say you punch less hard in bare-knuckle. I'm a firm believer in just hit them as hard as you can possibly fucking hit them, as many times as you can hit them, and hope that their nose breaks before your hand does.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think the biggest difference, and this is massive, and I don't think enough people give it credit, is the emotional weight of a bare-knuckle fight. So, in a glove boxing match, I can honestly say I've never felt pain, other than from body shots. They hurt. But like impacts to your head, there's no real pain there. Even if you break your nose, it's like a white hot feeling. Your vision will go a little bit, and everything sort of tears up, and you know, you've then got to deal with blood running down your throat and whatever else. But it's perfectly copeable. You grab hold of your opponent, you hold him in the clinch for a couple of seconds until you compose yourself, and you're good to go again. But whereas with bare knuckle, I don't think anybody prepares lads coming in for the fact that when your claret is running like a waterfall down your face, into your eyes, into your mouth, into your nose, into your fucking ears, into your vision, like that is such an overwhelming feeling for a lot of people on their first go round. Like, nobody prepared me for that. I was told prepare for the feeling of being hit bare knuckle. I wasn't told prepare for your body to panic when you start painting the canvas with your own fucking blood. I could speak to the Mark Godbeer fight. When I hit the deck in that fight, towards the end of the first round, because of the cut he opened up on top of my head. Luckily it was the end of the round, because I got back to my feet. We had our minute break. I shit you not, for that first 30 seconds of that break, I could not get the blood out of my eyes. I couldn't see. Fortunately it was in the rest round and not while we were active. And yeah, with enough fucking rubbing and manoeuvring it, I managed to get it out of my eyes. And I could continue. But if that had happened in the round, I would have been effectively blinded by that cut. But the other thing is, when you hit the floor and your blood's spilling out of you, you don't know how bad it is. Your brain always assumes, I've been scalped completely, you know, there must be a gigantic fucking hole in my body for this much blood to be here.
Artery or something.
Yeah. And then I think your body starts to try and come up with excuses to get you out of the fight, and you know, that's something lads need to prepare for. Nobody speaks about it enough. Everyone gives it the tough man persona of, no, I'm going to, you're not going to stop me. Mate, you'll stop yourself. Like, just prepare for it, because it will happen. Everybody gets that moment of doubt when you hit the floor and there's blood just pumping out of you. But the reality of it is, the cut could be as small as a 5p piece, which it was with me, but heads bleed a lot. So, yeah, so that's the main difference, that psychological impact when you do get a catastrophic bleed. Yeah.
I mean, I've got so much respect when I see fighters, you know, it's bad enough getting in there, but when they get such a, you know, bad bleeding like you talk about, or hematoma, and they still keep going, and you don't know how bad it is, because let's face it, people do die. It's a serious sport, you know. Blood sport does what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
So that takes a lot. For those people who's just tuning in, I'm talking to Aaron Ashton here. He's a bare-knuckle fighter and a biker. Now, what does the term 1%er mean in real life? Like, not just on the films, but, you know, actually in real life.
Okay, so from my understanding of it, I think the term was originally coined by the American Motorcycle Association back in the 40s, 50s. And I think it was to imply that 99% of the road users of motorcycles in the States were law-abiding citizens, which implied that the 1% were the other guys, the guys who used to ride around on old school Harleys and commit crimes and have sort of gang mentalities and used to cause a lot of chaos. That's where the term came from. I think that term has since been adopted as almost a badge of honour. You know, motorcycle clubs now, they're a lot of things. They're not gangs. They're not organised criminal groups. They're not what sometimes the media portrays them to be. But that 1% badge has remained. It's like, although we're not all of these things, we're still not like you. We're the 1%, you're the 99%. So yeah, it's a badge of honour. That's what the 1% thing is.
Yeah, and I think you will find good and bad people in any organisation, whether it's a damn church, bike clubs, whatever, you know. And what is one rule from a bike club that the outsiders would never guess?
Well, it's an obvious rule that almost doesn't even need explaining. It's you look out for each other, and I imagine that would be the same across all bike clubs. If one of you is having an hard time, then everybody's going to rally around that person to make sure they're not having such a bad time. And that's regardless of what that bad time may be, whether it's a financial thing, emotional thing, relationship thing, or some personal drama that they just need a hand sorting out.
Has bike life ever prepared you better for violence than fighting?
You know what? So obviously, being a part of a bike club, I've got very strong bonds with the people around me. It almost sounds cliche, but there is an extra added element of, like, I'm prepared for anything when I'm with these boys. Like, I know these boys would die for me. I know I would die for these boys. It charges you up. Now, the capacity I'm speaking about that in is, so I've had a few fights where I've had the club walk me to the ring. Now, when you're preparing to get ready for a fight and you've got 30 of your club brothers around you backstage and they're all fucking psyching you up and they're all patting you on the back and they're all, come on Ashton, let's go Ashton, fucking come on Ashton, let's fucking get it done Ashton. Like, this builds you up fucking psychologically and gives you a hell of a boost. So much so, and the 2 times I've walked out with the club, I've stopped the opponent both times. Once in the first round and next time in the 3rd round by doctor stoppage that time round. But yeah, it gives me such a fucking kick up the arse. It's like, yeah, like I'm not going out there for a fight at that point. It's like I'm up for murder now. Like, I've got my boys with me. I am fucking game. This is a fucking war, and I'll do whatever it takes. A, because I want to represent and I want to show everybody what we're about as a collective. But B, so I don't want to let them down. These people are an intrinsic part of my life, and you know, I want to make them fucking proud.
What does loyalty really cost in that world?
The biggest thing, it can cost the biggest price, and that's your reputation. Your reputation is everything, not just in that world but in every world. If you're not somebody who can follow through on what you're expected to follow through on, then why would I want you around me? Why would you want me around you? Like, you know, and this transcends, this is the same across all subcultures, whether it's a football team, a business, a bike club, a fucking swimming team, it doesn't matter. If you can't depend on somebody in that team, it's not a team, you know. And if you're not loyal to that team, then, well, your loyalty must lie with yourself, and a team is bigger than the individual. So if you're just loyal to yourself, then there's no place for you in this team.
And do you feel your life is better now since you've been part of the bike club?
Massively, yeah, massively.
In what way?
So the biggest way that it's impacted my life, benefited my life, is the community aspect. So I've never really had a solid community around me. I felt like I have. You know, I've had friends throughout the years, and you know, since I've got into like gym life, I've had, you know, people I'm seeing every day. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to undersell the people who are around me in the boxing community, because that's massive. But this is different. This is the 3 o'clock in the morning friends. And you know, if I'm having a crisis at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can make a phone call and a number of people will be at my address. Whether it's I'm having a meltdown with my relationship, or I'm having a financial fucking issue, or I'm just feeling shit, the depression's back, people will be there to prop me up. It's a given. But the other thing is, as well, for me, and I think this is the big thing, the club and being around the club encourages you to be involved in situations that benefit the community at large. I can honestly say I've been a selfish cunt for most of my life. I've always done things for myself and for my family and the people closest to me. Being involved in the club, there are constantly things going on where we're trying to help out kids that are poorly, doing toy runs, taking presents up to the hospital at Christmas time, running charities for club members' families who've passed away, and you know, trying to generate a bit of money for them, generating money for local football teams. There's like a multitude of things that I've been doing since I've been around the club that benefit other people. Now, that's never been something I've done. I didn't know how good that feeling was, just to do something just because. And I love that now. I love the fact that actions that we've taken, myself and the club members, have benefited somebody who might not be in a very fortunate situation. Like I say, the kids, this Christmas, the club took thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds worth of donations and toys up to New Cross Hospital in Wolverhampton. We had the fucking mayor down. Mayor of Wolverhampton came down sitting on the bike, swapping gold chains with the lads. And like the sense of community and the feedback that it generated, it's massive. That's what we are, you know. Forget all of the other stuff. The other stuff is a given. We are lads who are going to back each other up to the death, regardless of what the cost is. But we're also men who want to make a fucking difference in our communities. You know, Wolverhampton is not a nice place, but by and large, there's a lot of bad in that community. But I can say wholeheartedly that the club is one of, if not the biggest contributor to the downtrodden in that community, you know. And it doesn't just include the charity stuff, just the fucking downtrodden, like the stuff that goes on where we're helping people out that doesn't get spoken about, that doesn't end up in the Express and Star, you know, that doesn't make it all over social media. There's things that have been done for me, for the club, where like I've been on hard times, where, you know, other club members don't even know about it. It's just been like, look, we got you, let's help you out, we know what you're going through. There's a big fucking heart there. The public perception is getting better. People are starting to see it for what it is. Obviously, there's the age-old connotation of it being a biker gang. It's not a bike gang, it's a club, it's a community. You know, my kids know other club members' kids. You know, I'm friendly with family members of club members. It stretches far beyond us just jumping on bikes and appearing to be thugs. There's so much more to it than that.
And that is what the media sometimes get wrong. They portray these clubs, you know, in a bad light. But meanwhile, these clubs do more for the community than they ever do, you know.
Exactly that, yeah.
Like some people actually feel safe in the neighborhood where these clubhouses are, because they know there's control, you know, they've got control of the situation. It's not just thugs running rampantly around the streets and, yeah, you know, doing these events and charity events.
Yep. I think when you look at where a clubhouse is located, no one's going to break into a car that's near a clubhouse because it might be a member's car. No one's going to break into a house that's near a clubhouse because that homeowner might be friendly with the club, and chances are the club will know who's doing all the robbing in the area and they'll find you, and you don't want that. You definitely don't want that. Does the police do the same? Does the police, like knowing there's a police station in your area, does that have a massive impact on crime in the area? Does it? Fuck.
No.
You know, Briley Hill police station, and, you know, like it's smack bang in the middle of the high street. The same high street where people were getting stabbed a couple of weeks ago. The same high street where people were getting shot a couple of months ago. The police, and I understand it's all down to budgets, and, you know, I think if they had an unlimited amount of money, I'm sure they would make a big difference in the communities. But the problem is, they're not in the communities. You know, the police stations are being shut down left, right and centre. They're all sort of homogenising into these super police stations, which makes no fucking odds to me. I'm not going to phone the police anyway. But for little Doreen down the road, 85 years old, who's just had a flat burgled, she makes a call to the police. She won't even get the reassurance of an officer attending. She will get given a crime number over the phone and told to speak to her house insurance, and that will be case closed. That's not good enough. That ain't good enough for our communities. Ain't good enough for the people. You're paying your fucking taxes for this service. You're paying your taxes to get a fucking crime number.
Exactly, and the government wants to portray these clubs as criminals, but meanwhile, you know, you shouldn't be trusting them, to be honest.
Well, for example, so my truck got stolen a couple of months ago. Took me 2.5 hours to get it back. Now, the police were called in the initial instance because I needed the crime number for the insurance claim. I got the crime number, got fuck all else. I got my truck back in 2.5 hours. And what does that tell you? Come and see me if your truck goes missing, don't see the police.
Do you feel fear, or has it burned out?
No, I feel doubt before a fight. There's no fear. Like, you know, and even the doubt is more a case of, have I done enough? Oh fuck me, there's a lot of people here. I've just sold 60 tickets, so 60 people come down to watch me fight. or I've just been walked out with the club, or I'm doubting myself now, I don't want to let them down. Those are the doubts I get. Fear would imply that I'm scared. Like, I'm not scared. There's no place for fear. Doubt is just a fucking voice in the back of your head that you have to deal with. If you're feeling fear, genuinely scared, I think a lot of fighters as well, they've never actually felt what real fear is. So what they compartmentalise as, I felt fear before a fight. You're just feeling fucking nerves, and that's normal. Your body's preparing for combat. All the blood is draining away from your limbs, and it's pushing itself into the middle of your body where it's most needed because it knows it's about to get heavy. That's what that feeling is. Fear's an entirely different fucking thing, and yeah, I've been through enough shit. Like, the thought of fighting another man is not going to be enough to make me scared. Not a fucking prayer.
And do you control violence, or does violence control you?
Oh, that's a deep one. You didn't think that one up yourself, did you? I control violence now. That's not always been the case.
Was it more through your early years you struggled to control violence?
Contrary to popular belief, I had a very non-violent childhood, other than the usual playground bullshit that everybody deals with.
Yeah.
No, I had quite a civilised childhood, very unsettled, but not traumatic. We moved around a lot. My mum and dad separated early. We were brought up by a lot of babysitters and childminders and aunties and uncles and whatever in between. My dad was a fucking good man who did the best he could with the job that he had. But he worked a lot of hours, and yeah, we were brought up by a village. So we were kind of moved around a lot, moved house a lot. Didn't have a lot of money, but yeah, I can honestly say it was not a traumatic childhood. It was not a violent childhood at all. For me, the violence genuinely started about 4 years ago. I'd had street fights and stuff, but again, nothing heavy, nothing where I'd ever imposed my violence on somebody. It was always a case of, fucking drunk on a night out and something kicks off and you get involved. Nothing planned, nothing coordinated, just get stuck in, hope for the best, and yeah, wake up the next morning with a black eye and try and piece together the events. That was it.
Yeah.
4 years ago, when things went south in my life, that's when it kind of flicked a switch, and overnight I became, hyper-violent, for lack of a better word. Because things were so bad and I felt dead inside because of all the breakdowns of relationships and losing my friend and whatever else. It just fried my nerve endings and I didn't feel anything. So the only way I could start to feel was to do something as chaotic as the things I was getting involved in. There was a lot tied into it. Like, I think a part of me wanted to suffer. I wanted to be arrested, or I wanted to be chopped up, or I wanted to, so everybody could see how much I was suffering. And I was purposely putting myself in situations where that was a possibility. Fortunately, it never happened for me. But there was a lot of fucking chaos at that time.
And what does it take to happen in your life that makes you to turn all of a sudden so violent? Like, what turn of events take place to cause that?
For me, it was a culmination of events. So, on paper, it's two big relationship breakdowns, and the death of my best friend, plus financial troubles, plus being made homeless, plus whatever else. But the reality of it was, I was just kicking back at life. I felt like life was just fucking victimising me at that point. Every time I'd put my fucking hopes and dreams into somebody or something, it'd get taken away from me. Every time I'd start to finally think, oh no, I've made it now, like, we're going to be good now, like, life's fucking sorted, I've got stability. I've never had stability all through my childhood, teenage years, early life. Now I found it, it'd get snatched away from me. And then with the last relationship breakdown, I just had enough, and overnight I just fucking lost it. Basically, we split up, and then I became overnight. Suicidal, homeless, fucking bankrupt, like everything, flick of a switch. The person I loved now hated me. It was just everything. And I just thought, you know what, fuck the world. I'm done now trying to play ball like everybody else does. I'm done trying to fucking toe the line and get the mortgage and the picket fence and the kids and the dogs and whatever else. Fuck the world. I'm just going to burn everything. I'm going to burn everybody around me. If you're not with me, fuck yeah, you're getting it. If you've mildly inconvenienced me at some point in the past, I'm probably going to turn up at your door. If you've got something I want, I'm going to take it. I stopped being a nice guy because I was always a nice guy. I was a soft cunt. And it once that switch was flicked, it made me realise that you shouldn't be necessarily a nice guy. You definitely shouldn't be a bad guy either. You should be a good guy. Do good things, do the right things, but don't be too fucking nice. Don't let people mug you off, but also don't be too fucking bad to the point where you'll end up getting yourself nicked or chopped up or shot or whatever, you know, a million of the consequences that could have led to.
So with this last relationship that, you know, that toppled you over, did this person did she end the relationship and did it come out of nowhere, or was it like coming on for a while, or did you end it?
No, it was a very quick thing. Over like, so we got married in December, and then we split up in May. Yeah, quick turnaround.
Wow.
Second failed marriage as well. I'm good at failing marriages, to be fair. But yeah, so it was quite a quick thing. Should have seen the signs earlier. So long story short, the relationship was so my friend who passed away, I ended up marrying his sister. Off the back of his death, we became very close. I've since found out there's a term for it. It's called a trauma bond. Because I was so close to my friend as well, and there's lots of things that she did that reminded me of him, and you know, I was around his family. It was a fucking mess. There was good parts of the relationship, but ultimately, once we'd finished chasing all the good things that we could do, i.e. getting married, moving in together, we realised that, or she realised, she was quicker to the party than me, that enough was enough and she wanted away from it. Her mental health was screwed. She'd obviously lost her brother. Yeah, there's a lot there. It was a fucking mess. But I didn't want it to end. And I suppose you could call it fucking bitterness, to be fair. I just fucking fought back. And yeah, made everybody's fucking life a misery for a good while there. But you know what? At the time, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But in hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because without that happening, it wouldn't have sent me on this fucking mad journey I've been on. I wouldn't have become a professional bare-knuckle boxer. I wouldn't be getting tattoos by Dean Taylor. I wouldn't be, you know, doing fucking podcasts here, right, there and everywhere. I wouldn't have the bike club around me. I wouldn't have prioritised my daughter. You know, I was chasing things that weren't fucking sustainable. And now that all the chaos has passed, I like where I've ended up. It's a fucking good place to be. So, at the time I hated her, but in reality I should thank her. So, yeah.
I'm a firm believer, you know, everything happens like it should, and it might feel like the worst thing you're going through at the moment, but later it will make sense when you look back. Mm-hmm. And it's other people you met along the way, whether it's a new partner or new business partners or a new job or whatever, you know. And yeah, I believe these things do happen for a reason.
I think people come into your life for a reason as well. You know, the bike club, they came in, my life was missing that camaraderie, that brotherhood. You know, I had friends, but friends come and go. I had people at the gym members come and go. But I was at that point where it's like I needed something solid. I needed something where, you know, like, I know who my friends are. Like, it's pretty fucking obvious, we're all wearing the same jacket for starters. But you know what the expectation is from you and what the expectation is from them. It's like, I know it's a given that, you know, if say I've got to go down to Kent or Cornwall, whatever, there'll be somebody down there I know because there's club down there. If there's club down there, then I'm welcome down there. You know, and if for any reason I need anything while I'm in that area, even if it's just somebody to go and get some fucking food with, there's going to be somebody down there who'll, I'll come and get a bite to eat with you, we'll have a catch up. It's a given, and I like routine. And yeah, with the club, it's very much like that. It's like everyone knows what they're in it for. So yeah, I think the club came into my life at the right point for that reason, because it was something that was missing. It's a good support structure to have around you, and as well accountability. You've still got to be accountable. You know, just because you're going through a hard time doesn't mean you can be a cunt. You've still got to toe the line, like.
Now, if you're not riding or fighting, what do you do to fill the void?
Training and cleaning my bike. To be honest, I work long hours, so I work 10 hours a day. I'm a production manager, again, which might surprise people. I'm not just a bare-knuckle fucking savage like everybody thinks I am. I actually work a management office job. So I do that for a big chunk of my day. Parenting, spend a lot of time with my daughter, as much time as I possibly can. At the minute, obviously I'm in the middle of fight camp, so my time is limited, which that's something that does bother me. See, like, this is where it's tricky, because fighting's such a big part of my life and it brings so many positives to it, but so many sacrifices have to be made to prop it up. Like, you ask what I do when I'm not fighting or riding a bike. I'm probably in fight camp preparing for a fight, and with that I'm making the sacrifices that have to be made, which means missing out on things. I'm either in the gym or on my phone, figuring out what I'm going to post, or when the media days are, or, you know, trying to drum up interest in something that I've got going on. And this is where I think a lot of people fuck up as well. People get into fighting and they think all they've got to do is train really hard, beat everybody, and yeah, you'll be famous, earn loads of money, and fucking you'll have a big following and whatever else. Ain't the case. Like, for example, I train really hard. I've lost all my bare knuckle fights so far, but I've got a decent following. People respect me. A, because of the nature of my fights. Obviously, when I fight, I fucking fight. But B, I sell my character. And I try and implore lads to fucking do this when they're like coming into my gym and when they're talking about fighting and whatever. So you can be the most skilled boxer in the area. If there's no personality behind you, no one gives a fuck. Some people are the Conor McGregors, the fucking absolute gold mine of insults that he is, just throwing out banter left, right and centre. That works for some people. Some people are like me, respectful, humble, but they clearly have got a bit of character about them. Some people like Khabib's, where people are behind them because of their discipline, because of their faith, because of their fact that they show up, they don't allow distractions into their life. Whatever it is that's a bit unique about you, fucking double down on it. Give yourself a wacky ring name, like I have. Like, do whatever you need to do. Just make yourself get fucking noticed, because there's so much more to fighting than just fighting.
And do you feel like you need chaos to feel normal?
I did for a time, yeah. I can honestly say that's a part of my past now, though. Like, I actually like, don't get me wrong, I need to be busy. I need to have objectives, goals, targets, things in the calendar. When I'm between fights, I do get a bit cranky. But that's just because it's boring. If I'm being honest, I enjoy the build up to a fight. I enjoy the organisation that it brings to my life. I enjoy the structure, I enjoy the routine. And I feel good for it. I enjoy being in shape. I enjoy being in regular contact with the promoters and all the other fighters that are going to be on the show and whatever else. But yeah, when that's not there, I do find myself slipping into the black a little bit. But I've got enough positivity around me to keep that at bay. My worry is what happens when fighting's all wrapped up, when that purpose is no longer there. Obviously, I know what the answer is. You find purpose in other places, but I can't see anything having as much of a gravitational pull for me as fighting, because it's all consuming. It's every fibre of my fucking being. It's my fucking t-shirts, it's my tattoos, it's, you know, everything about me is fight, fight, fight. So I'm hoping that coaching can fill that void further down the line. I want to continue to do stuff that doesn't involve getting punched in the head, like podcasts and media stuff, maybe commentating, refereeing, hand wrapping, I don't know, cut work, something that keeps me around the sport and still allows me to earn money in it. But yeah, I think the big thing for me will be coaching. Now, I've got a few lads that I coach at the minute, and we're building up a little bit of a stable of bare-knuckle fighters. The first guy who came to me, Cal, he was very raw when he walked through the door. He'd done a bit of Krav Maga and Muay Thai, and had it in his head that he wanted to have a bare-knuckle fight. He'd never put a pair of gloves on, like in a competitive sense. He wanted his first fight to be bare-knuckle. Now Cal is a good kid with a good heart, but a bad head. He's got a bit of darkness in his soul. He's gone through a few struggles of his own. I had him for about 8 weeks, got him ready for his first fight, his debut, and he went out there and he stopped the guy in 2 minutes, broke the guy just, his heart went, he quit, couldn't come out for the second round, and that was just because Cal just fucking ground him out. He just employed that darkness that he's got in his soul and just pushed it on another person, and the other person wasn't ready to deal with that level of depth. And for the first time for me, like, I've never really cornered anybody before. Like, I don't know, I might have, can't remember, in glove fights, but that was the first bare knuckle time I'd cornered somebody for a bare knuckle fight. And for the first time, I was proud of somebody else, in a competitive sense, because I'd been a part of his journey. I knew his struggles, and I saw how fucking hard he trained and how hard he wanted it, and he turned up and he fucked the other geezer up. And for me, that kind of was a little bit of a light bulb moment of, maybe this is your purpose after the fighting's done. Like, I got enough from that particular fight, seeing what he got out of it, to maybe that's enough to tick the box. Obviously there's a little bit of money in coaching, but not the same as what there is with, you know, being a fighter with sponsors and whatever else. But from a satisfaction point of view, that was a big moment for me. I was choked up, like, when he won. I genuinely felt fucking proud of him, and to a degree, by association, proud of myself. It's like, I've played a part in this geezer's journey. Yeah, I actually gifted him his ring name not long after that. Obviously, I'm El Gringo Mandingo, which means the white guy with the big black cock. So we wanted to keep it in the theme. Well, he has. I don't know if he'll be comfortable with me sharing this, but whatever, it's out there. He has night terrors about a fucking big black wolf giving him shit. So off the back of that, we gave him the ring name El Lobo, which means the wolf in Spanish. And when I said it to him, his fucking eyes lit up, and yeah, you could see it made a dent with him. So yeah, I'm just enjoying helping him shape his journey. I think that's where it'll come in for me. Holding pads for somebody's one thing, but like actually making a difference in their lives, like, I can get behind that.
That is great, man. I mean, and it shows you want to be in the sport for many years to come still. But I think that's what most professional fighters struggle with, is when it comes to hanging up the gloves, because they've been doing it the whole life. It's all they know. And then, you know, to leave something that's your passion, that you live, eat, shit, breathe, you know, and just walk away from. But that's the thing with fighting, you know, usually people don't have a long, you know, term of doing it.
Yeah, you got a short shelf life in this
Exactly.
game. Especially with me as well, because I got started so late. You know, I started at 34. I didn't have my first bare knuckle fight till 36. And you can't get 7 or 8 of these fights in a year. They're so damaging. You're lucky if you can get 2 or 3 in a year. So, yeah, shelf life wise, I know I haven't got long left. I'm 38 now. I'm thinking by the time I'm 40, I'll probably be all done. You know, the better I get, the stiffer the competition gets. And the stiffer the competition gets, the harder I have to train. And the harder I have to train is, the more toll my body has to take. And the byproduct of that is injuries, slower recovery. When it starts to affect my day job, my day-to-day life, I'm struggling to pick my daughter up because my fucking shoulder's hanging out the socket all the time. That might be the point where I have to go, yeah, I think it's time. I was going to say time to hang up the gloves, but there fucking ain't any, so.
Do you ever suffer with like migraines or maybe forgetfulness or anything, from all the shots to the head? Or don't you feel it's affected you in any way?
No, I don't think I do. I think I'm still pretty sharp. I'll be honest, after the last fight, I think for a good 2-3 weeks, my brain just felt a little bit heavy. It was like thinking through custard, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like my thought process was just a little bit slower. Trying to recall information took a little bit more effort. Complex mathematics was fucking straight out the window. But yeah, look, I don't know. Again, I think that is the only benefit of me getting started so late. I haven't accumulated massive trauma. I do accumulate massive trauma in my fights, but I haven't been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years. You get some of these amateur lads, they've had so much brain damage by the time they get to being a pro boxer that they have a 4 or 5 year pro career and the brains are like fucking mashed potato. And I know some of these guys, trying to hold a conversation with some of the promoters in my area, say no names, is fucking tricky. You can get like 8-minute voice notes from them where they're repeating the same thing over and over again and calling you 7 different names along the way. It's just fucking, and it's sad.
Wow.
Like, I need to know that. I don't think that's viable for me. I've spoke to a few like head trauma specialists recently about unrelated things, and I've just sort of asked the question, and they've said, with your time in the game, not really something we'd be even slightly concerned about. Stick another 10 years on it, you're a big problem, with the nature of the fights. But yeah, for me, it's a worry, but I mean, it's fucking way down the line of list of my concerns, to be fair.
Yeah.
For the young lads getting into it though, like Joe Lister, I don't know if you know Joe Lister, he's a young bare-knuckle fighter, he's 21, and he's fucking good, really good. Charismatic guy as well, handsome bastard, smashing everybody up. Lost his most recent fight, but it was a fucking good fight. Well, he's 21 and he's already had like 4 or 5 bare-knuckle fights. I'm assuming he had an amateur background behind that. You need to make your money now and get yourself out of it by the time you're 26, 27. I wouldn't want to see him stick around for too much longer after that.
That Luke Dyson, he fights a lot, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. I like Dyson. Again, the internet fucking goes hard on him.
Yeah.
Because he loses. The cunt's had like 200 fights. Chances are you're going to lose
mental.
a few. And he fights everybody. And he knows his worth, and I salute him for that. He won't fight anybody for nothing. If you want to put him in there with a big puncher, you need to pay the man, because he's risking his brain at this point. I would encourage him to start. I mean, I don't know his financial situation. I know he's had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life, and I'm not here for a minute telling him how to live. But you've got to look at the numbers. He's done some mileage now. He's had some big knockouts. It's probably getting towards that time where you need to rethink your career choices. I just hope he's made enough money in the short time he's been in it to be able to get out of it, because it's not a forgiving sport, especially at unlicensed level, because you will find that a lot of corners get cut on these unlicensed shows. On the majority of them, there are some legitimate ones. But I've had it where I've fought lads who've had absolutely no stuffing inside their gloves. They've used these gloves for 15 fucking years. I basically had a fight against somebody who's fighting me bare knuckle, and I've got 10-ounce brand new fucking gloves on. I've done it multiple times. Now, the promoter should be checking these things. The promoters never do. There's a small percentage of promoters who will make...
That's shocking.
Oh, mate, you've got to bear in mind, some of these shows are being run at your local town hall. They're being run by an ex-journeyman boxer, or an ex-unlicensed boxer themselves, or somebody who wants to make a bit of money. that is the sole focus of these things. Like, health comes way down the list of important things. And the shows that Luke Dyson's on, by and large, are these unlicensed shows. Because he commands a good purse now, because of how much exposure he brings to the shows are generally of a high quality that he's fighting on. But I know he's fought on some of the shows that I've fought on, and I know they ain't checking gloves on those shows. They just want to make money. That's all they want to do. Get the fighters on, get the fighters to sell the tickets, pay the bare minimum, which is just the medics. You need some medics there. Other than that, fuck everybody. Let's make some coin. But mate, the longer I spend around fighting, the more I've come to realise 99% of promoters are rats, snakes, and just fucking vermin. They don't give a fuck about anybody's health. And they kind of prey on the fact that people like me will not turn down a fight. Regardless, if somebody doesn't make weight for the fight, well, I'm not going to make them go home. I've got fucking 30 people here in the crowd. They want to see a fight, so regardless of the weight difference, let's just have the fight. Well, the promoter should step in at that point and go, no, didn't make weight, I'll refund all your people tickets. It's on him. It's his fault, like.
Yeah.
But they don't. Promoters want the fight to happen, don't care about unfair weight advantages, don't care about experience, disadvantages, they don't give a fuck. That's why, as well, I can't be arsed with gloved boxing anymore. I enjoy a gloved fight. It doesn't stimulate me the same way a bare-knuckle fight does. I mean, if you really want to stimulate me, pay me well. And pay me well, I'll fight anybody. Gloves or no gloves. But it's just like, I've seen that many people get robbed. I've been robbed of decisions before now. It doesn't bother me, like I say, as long as I enjoy the fight, I don't really care. But yeah, I see some lads who, like, they go through some shit. They have a rough run with life. They have a mental health crisis or a relationship breakdown or whatever. They're in recovery. They gravitate towards a boxing gym. They find some positive people like me that they're around, that they go, oh, you know what, I find what you've done inspiring. You've done it, why can't I? Okay, sound, you can, let's do it. Get them busy. They get fit. They go and jump on they agree to a fight. They jump on one of these fucking backcountry shows. They have a fight against an opponent that they're clearly beating, but because that opponent has sold more tickets and has brought more money to the promoter's more inclined to give them the decision. And then all of a sudden that lad who I've took to the show to fight, who's come from a bad place, who's managed to turn his life around and found this positive thing with boxing, that then gets roadblocked by the fact that he's just been robbed of a decision. He loses fucking interest and he goes back to whatever was fucking his life up before. That's what pisses me off about these shows. It can knock people's lives back, and that's more of a price than what you're going to earn for a bit of fucking ticket commission.
And what is the worst thought you've had mid-fight?
So Dane was a novice. He fought me for his first fight. I think he was like my 7th or 8th fight. But yeah, he got me on a debut. He was meant to fight somebody else. They backed out and they asked me if I wanted it. I said to the promoter, I was like, look, if he's a novice, you got to bear in mind I'm pretty experienced at this point. Like, he's probably going to get the piss beaten out of him. And the promoter was like, no, listen, like, Dane's game. He's a game kid. He will turn up and he will have a fight with you, and he might just about do the job on you. And I thought, yeah, like, whatever. As long as I'm getting paid, I don't care. So we get to the fight night, and came out, touched gloves, and I felt very confident. He didn't look quite so confident, but he was in the fucking ring, so fair play to him. And yeah, straight off the bat, almost fucking instantly in the first 10 seconds, he's come out the fucking corner and just gone bang bang, hit me with a 1-2, fucking rocked my equilibrium really fucking bad. And in that split second, all I could think was, oh fuck, I'm about to get knocked out by a novice. That was by far the worst feeling I've ever had in a fight, fucking before or since.
Oh,
the pain of embarrassment, that's far worse than a broken fucking hand or broken nose.
So who won that fight then?
I stopped him in the second round, but it wasn't for lack of trying. He was game. We actually had a rematch. 3 months later, because he had a bit of a shit camp going into it. I obviously only had like a week's notice.
Right.
And yeah, he did a lot better in the second. I still beat him. The doctor stopped it in the third. He had his eye was like swelling shut, and I think they were worried it was going to rip open. But again, one of them, like another long-lasting benefit of fighting. So I fought Dane twice. I beat Dane twice. We stayed close, got a lot of respect for him. You know, he had a rough fucking roll of the dice having me for his debut fight. But he's a game motherfucker. He realised in that first fight, you know, he's a tough. He knew after that he was tough. It was confirmed to him. After that, he's just gone from fucking fight to fight to fight, fighting some of the best lads on the circuit. To be fair to him, he's only like a year in at this point. I think just over a year. But yeah, the long-reaching implications of this boxing community, and a testament to everyone's character in the business. I've beat him twice, but he still bought tickets from me to come and watch my fight in at the O2 in 3 weeks' time.
Wow.
If anybody else wants tickets. But yeah, that's what I love. That's again, this community is fucking brilliant for that. Like, everyone supports each other, everyone respects each other. There's a few dickheads out there, don't get me wrong, like there is in any industry.
Yeah.
But by and large, there's some fucking good people around.
And have you ever crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed?
I think we've all made mistakes. I rate my character, and I've always generally done the right things. Although I've took the piss in a few situations, I've never hurt anybody who didn't deserve to be hurt. I've never gone too far with somebody, and even in like relationships, I've never done anything that would be considered untoward. Never cheated. Never stolen anything off somebody, unless I've took things off people, but that's different.
Yeah.
I've never fucking burgled somebody's house. I've never stole somebody's car. I'd honestly say, well, I'm a fucking testament to it. I'm at this point in my life, which is a pretty good place. So whatever lines I have crossed along the way, none of them are too far, because none of it's fucking slowed me down or stopped me.
Has violence ever followed you home mentally?
That situation I told you about earlier, where I hit that geezer and he went into a seizure.
Yeah.
That hung around with me for a while. A few of the things I've seen, I tell you what, a couple of the fights I've seen on BKB have hung around with me for a while. So there's a guy named Will Demitzel from Worcester, who trains in Bewdley. He threw a jab at a guy called Jordan Tompkins at BKB Bristol, and I was ringside, so I saw this in person. Just threw a jab, and it landed on Jordan Tompkins' nose.
Oh yeah.
And it collapsed his nose. It didn't just break his nose.
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, I was ringside when this happened, and the noise it made was what I'd imagine it would sound like if somebody snapped a fucking scaffold planking off. It fucking turned. I've seen some shit, and that turned my stomach. I remember getting home on the night, and by the time I got back, all the slow-mo videos had come out and whatever else. And Will literally turned this geezer's face from having a nose to having a snout in a split second. And the poor guy he's had to have several like rhinoplasties and stuff since. But that was a bad one. Another one I saw was on Bad to the Bone. Giovanni Carpentieri, he fought a French kid, I can't remember his name. It was the show I fought on my first bare-knuckle fight. They tore lumps out of each other for 5 rounds. I'm pals with one of the cut men, Jack Anthony at Safe Hands. It was in Giovanni's corner, and he touts that fight as his hardest night's work ever. He said keeping him in the fight, having to keep all those cuts closed and keep him going forward, he's like, there's never been a fight of my life that I've had to work from the corner that's been as involved as that. What made it even more fucked up was Giovanni lost the fight, close decision. I ended up in the hospital with him afterwards because I was having my ear sewn back together. And I saw him after the swelling had started to take effect, and his head was like a fucking pumpkin. he was just sat in this hospital in Stoke with a like wall blanket round him, and he just had this like 1,000-yard stare, just staring at the floor. I went over to him and I was like, Gio, I said, fucking warrior. He just put his hand out and then just went back to looking at the floor. It was just like he wasn't there. And then I saw him leave the hospital about 10 minutes later, just got fed up of waiting, just decided to go. And then the next day, I went on Instagram and saw he was back in Italy watching at a football match. Like, fucking tough guy, man. How he even got on a plane in the first place, I've got no fucking idea. Somebody wasn't doing the job properly. But then to go up the next day and go to a fucking football match.
Wow.
Like, yeah, different guy. But the state of him in that hospital stuck with me. And the state of Jordan Tompkins' fucking nose, that stuck with me as well. Those are two fights that have made me go, this has got some fucking repercussions. This ain't just, you know, a couple of broken hands and some bruises and cuts. Like, you can change the structure of your fucking skull doing this.
Yeah.
But that thought passes pretty quickly and I start booking fucking fights again, so.
Now, have you ever hurt someone and felt nothing?
But yeah, of course I have. I think everybody has. Yeah, there's been times where we've had, fucking hell, I do it in sparring all the time. Like, I find it funny sometimes. You know, if I fucking hurt you in sparring, mate, you probably deserved it. But yeah, no, don't get me wrong, like I've said to you, there's been times where I've hurt people and thought, that was a big mistake. That's going to have some big repercussions. But there's levels, you know. I've not fucking knocked somebody spark unconscious and thought nothing of it. You know, I'm not that sort of, a lot of fucking situations get resolved without violence anyway. You know, when you're a big fucking heavyweight guy who is strong, athletic and more than happy to get involved, that tends to keep most people at bay for them, you know. The hyper-violent stuff it's normally deserved. In which case, yeah, fuck yeah. If you deserve it, it's on you, yeah.
What scares you more, dying young or living normal?
Well, I'm fucking already old, so there's no danger of that. You know what? Like, one of the biggest driving factors for me for a long time was to live a memorable life. And I think if I'd have died 4 years ago, no one would have really batted an eyelid. You know, there wouldn't have been any legacy created by me. No one would have. My name wouldn't have hung around for long after I passed away. So my best friend who killed himself, Adam Caneen, like, he's remembered because he was a big character. He had a big friend circle. He was always known for having fast cars, loud cars, fast bikes, being the life and soul of the party, just being a big bubbly character, funny, game kid as well, happy to get stuck in with violence and whatever, so he had a bit of a reputation. Short temper, hot-headed, could tell a story. It was like, there was a lot of reasons why people talk about him long after he's gone. If I would have died 4 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. There'd have been a big funeral and then, yeah, whatever, I'd have just faded into insignificance. There was a saying, I think it was, you die twice, once when your heart stops and once when the last person who remembers you says your name. Well, I know my name now because of what I've got up to in the last couple of years. He's going to hang around for a while, and that's quite important to me. Like, that's proper legacy. When your acts speak for themselves long after you're gone, in a positive way, obviously, not like fucking Hitler, you know, or Jimmy Savile.
And finally, if this life disappeared tomorrow, who are you?
El Gringo, man, fucking dingo. That's it.
Hell yeah. On that note, brother, it was absolute pleasure to have you on, Dean Taylor, and discussions, and I wish you all the best. And
cheers, Dean.
It's got a fight next month, so you guys need to check it out.
Still got tickets left as well. Be fucking quick though.
London O2 Arena.
BKB, 21st of February. It'll be on YouTube, Voice TV, TalkSport Boxing, you name it. And if you want to fucking get involved, you want to get some training, sparring, anybody, sponsors, drop me a message.
There we go. We'll leave his Instagram handle is in the description. El Gringo Mandingo. Go check it out. Cheers.
Peace.
And if you liked the episode, you know where to find me. Anything else?
No, we're good. We covered it all.